Okay, Katrina.
Okay. Um, just kind of introduce
Yeah,
what
so
this is.
it's all right. I can introduce you guys.
Okay.
Thank you, Girl Scouts. I see that there are about 25 of us right now here at 3 o'clock on a Friday. Thank you for joining us. This is the Society of Women and Engineers from the University of Michigan, and they're here to talk to you today about their engineering programs and what they're doing. And Society of Women Engineers also have this amazing patch program that they're offering for our girls as well. And we would love for you guys to take part in that. And then definitely listen to these amazing ladies talk about their programs today. Let's start off with Katrina, who actually is the person who got in touch with us to help us put this together. Thanks, Katrina.
Yeah, you're welcome. Happy to be here today. So I'm Katrina. I'm a senior at the University of Michigan studying biomedical engineering. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan, back home right now, given the situation. Um, but yeah, so I chose to do my major because I really wanted to do I guess go into a field that had a lot of problem solving, but also really had a human component to it. Obviously, all fields of engineering are helping people in some way, but I really wanted to be able to see the direct effect that I was having on individuals, which is something that I get through biomedical engineering. And then I think we'll touch on our majors, like what we do in them a little bit later. But yeah, just
Definitely.
brief intro.
Awesome. And then if you could just call out the name of the next person to talk, then we'll just kind
Yeah,
of bounce
sure.
around like that.
Jilly, you want to go?
All right,
Pass
yeah.
back
So
to
my
Jilly.
my name is Jillian, or Jilly for short. I am a junior studying computer engineering, and I'm originally from Tampa, Florida. So I've come a long ways, and it's currently snowing right now. So sort of wish I was home. Yeah. So I chose computer engineering coming into college, not really knowing what I wanted to do, but wanting something that was versatile enough that I could go into any industry and any application. So the skills I'm learning in my degree, how to work with software and how to work with hardware, are skills that I'll be able to apply to any industry, whether it be healthcare or advanced mobility, robotics, if I want to go work at NASA, or JPL. There's all sorts of industries and technologies that I can work with, that I'm really excited about. So computer engineering is different from just straight software or just straight electrical engineering, because I get to learn about both and how they interact with each other. For me, a big part of wanting to pick a major was wanting it to be a little bit more hands-on. So something like coding is very, you're sitting at your computer, you're typing code, which is really fun, but I wanted something that had a little bit more of a physical side to it too. So computer engineering is great because you not only get that experience coding and that knowledge, but you also are able to work directly with the hardware. So like circuit boards, microprocessors, there's lots of robotics applications as well, and in hardware would serve me really well. So computer engineering is actually lies at the intersection of software and hardware. So I'm learning about how to write programs, how to write code, and then actually how that interacts with the physical circuit boards and physical systems. And I really love that because I was nervous about going into straight into software engineering that was not as hands-on, as very much typing, like staring at a screen, and I wasn't sure that I wanted to move super far away from being able to work with something with my hands. But I knew I didn't want to be like a mechanical engineer. And computer engineering is really neat because you actually not only get to code and write programs, but you get to actually work with circuit boards and work with all the components and wires and all sorts of things. So you get really hands-on, which you can feel like an engineer, like a real engineer, when you're putting together these cool robotics applications. So that's me.
Hold on a second, guys. It stopped going live. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. It literally just.
Oh, it's like we're frozen.
I do not know why.
And this is why we need software engineers.
True. Yeah, let me see what happened. One sec.
I like that you said that though, Jilly, that it's more hands-on, because I often think like that's what engineers are more than anything else, very hands-on.
Yeah, for sure. I think that especially in our studies, it's very like staring at a book or staring at a screen. And there's actually a big push in the college to actually really provide those more like hands-on learning opportunities, because there's so much research that if you're applying what you've learned in class into like a physical, real application, that it's just going to be that much more cemented in your understanding.
So how ironic is it that all of our lab courses are online right now.
Oh, I know.
Yep. Yep. Tough.
How's that working out, by the way? How can you even do your lab online?
We
Pointless.
don't.
You don't.
You watch a recording of somebody doing, mine's a radiation detection measurement. And so he does the setup and he shows us taking the measurements and he sends us data. And so you write out the procedure where it's like, this was done and then this was done. And you feel like such a fraud because you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Or it's like using my measurements, and it was like, these were not mine. I did not make this.
Right.
Hey,
The whole
I'm trying to
second
figure it
half of
out.
our senior design class was just canceled.
I'm trying to figure it out why it ended.
Physical prototyping.
Oh yeah, my senior lab class just got entirely
I'm not
canceled.
sure why it did.
Where classes went online because they're like, you're just not going to
They're
get.
still there, yeah. It just disconnected from Facebook. No, I told them to stop. I mean,
Well, we're chatting. I mean,
they're talking amongst themselves, but
so my father works with Ford, and they
thinking
teach
that maybe
all
it
of
was
the
just
mechanics,
because it
you know,
automatically
the service
did
technicians
Internet
about how to
Explorer
fix
versus
the newer
Chrome.
cars that are out there.
I opened it in
And
Zoom.
they haven't been able to teach because they're
So I'm
like,
gonna
our job is
try
all hands-on. What are
and
we
see if
supposed
that's
to do?
why.
I don't want to show a video of me fixing this and then telling them to go and do it.
Right.
You can't.
Right.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Hang in there with us.
Well, try now teaching these girls how to make things or do things when they can only use what's in their house, because we don't have access to a lot of these supplies anymore either.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually.
That's another huge part of engineering, right? You got to encourage the creativity.
That is true. That is true.
We did. So I told
Okay,
you
so
guys about the piggy bank. They made this piggy bank, and we suggested, you know, like a milk carton. Well, some of the girls didn't have that, and they used cans of nuts.
Oh, that's cute.
Okay.
I know.
Okay, so I
awesome.
think we might be back, guys. Let me
Yay. Okay.
refresh the page. It says it's preparing. I don't know why I opened an Internet Chrome versus Google Chrome. So maybe that was. It's blinking.
And we're done. That was a great time, guys. Thanks.
Okay, so if we want to just pick up from the last person we were on.
Is it live again?
Yes.
I am. Oh, I see it refreshing. Yay. Okay, so thank you, Jilly. Were we able to get Jilly from Florida?
No. So
Okay.
we'll need to have her do zero over again.
Okay.
Yay.
No worries. No worries. All right. Yeah. So my name is Jillian, or Jilly for short. I am a junior studying computer engineering, and I'm originally from Tampa, Florida. So I've come a long ways, and it's currently snowing right now, so sort of wish I was home. Yeah, so I chose computer engineering coming into college, not really knowing what I wanted to do, but wanting something that was versatile enough that I could go into any industry and any application. So the skills I'm learning in my degree, how to work with software and how to work with hardware, are skills that I'll be able to apply to any industry. Whether it be healthcare or advanced mobility, robotics, if I want to go work at NASA or JPL, there's all sorts of industries and technologies that I can work with that I'm really excited about. So computer engineering is different from just straight software or just straight electrical engineering, because I get to learn about both and how they interact with each other. For me, a big part of wanting to pick a major was wanting it to be a little bit more hands-on. So something like coding is very, you're sitting at your computer, you're typing code, which is really fun, but I wanted something that had a little bit more of a physical side to it too. So computer engineering is great because you not only get that experience coding and that knowledge, but you also are able to work directly with the hardware. So like circuit boards, microprocessors, there's lots of robotics applications as well. We actually get to see the physical result of some of the code that you write. So in one of my classes right now, we're programming a small robotics application. So we get to see this little robot move around. And that's really rewarding for me and like a tangible result of my work. I get to see it move or not move, depending on how it's going. So that's really what I love about my major. I think engineering is a very exciting field to go into, particularly computer engineering. And yeah, that's me.
Thanks, Jilly. Yep, so just call in the next person.
I think, is it Caitlin's next?
I'm Caitlin. I'm a sophomore studying nuclear engineering. I'm originally from Troy, Michigan, so really close to Ann Arbor. And the reason I picked nuclear engineering is because everything that I do relies on taking these little nuclei, which are the small things at the center of atoms that are so small that you can't even see them, and breaking them apart to release energy. And I think that is so awesome and so inspirational that something that is so small can do something so big like power cities. And so I kind of use that to guide me. And like Katrina was saying, I want to do something that directly helps people in providing energy, which is a key resource that everybody relies on. And I think nowadays more than ever. And so I want to be a part of that and let those inspirational little nuclei guide me.
Thank you, Caitlin. Yeah, so just let's go ahead and call on the next person.
Real quick, it stopped again. I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay. If you can just
okay.
record the Zoom video then, and we'll just record it and we'll ask a few questions and go from there.
Yep, I have it recording, so we'll post it afterwards.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hijama, I think you're next. Or Himaja, sorry.
Yeah, so my name's Himaja. I'm a software also studying computer engineering. And Julie went into a lot of the things that are so great about computer engineering in particular. So I can talk about why I wanted to be an engineer. I chose to become an engineer because I wanted to be able to have an idea and then immediately have like all the knowledge that I need to build that thing. I really like problem solving, and I think that there's an element of problem solving in every career. But what's special about engineering is that you learn everything you need to build solutions with just your brain. You can make whatever you want whenever you want, and I really like that. And my dream job would be, I'm really interested in assistive technology. So I want to build robots that help people with disabilities or people who have special learning needs. That is what I want to do. And I also realized that I forgot to talk about my hometown. So I'll give that a shout out really quick. I'm from Canton, Michigan, which is also known as the land of IKEA.
Yes, it is. You have a person watching, by the way. So it's important that you shout out because there is a Canton person watching.
Oh, yes, best hometown. That's all I'll say. Let's have Mary go next.
Hi, I'm Mary. I'm from Boulder, Colorado. That's where I am currently, and I'm a freshman studying computer science. Computer science is a part of computer engineering, but more the software aspect. I don't like the idea of being that hands-on. That doesn't really speak to me, but working with algorithms, especially big data sets and simplifying them is something I'm really passionate about. Something in computer science that really speaks to me is working with artificial intelligence and machine learning. I worked with research like the past 2 years training like neural networks and being able to identify different subsets of cancer through like mammograms and stuff like that. And I think computer science has such a wide variety that it opens so many doors for me, and that's an aspect that I really enjoy. And I think the next person could be Reagan.
Hi, I'm Reagan. I'm a senior in mechanical engineering, and I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, so not far from home. So I chose to be an engineer initially in high school because I really enjoy doing crafts and making things. And I was like, oh, engineering, it's like you get to build stuff. And then in the time since, I've kind of come to the realization, similar to Jilly, that an engineering degree, like no matter what major you choose, is a problem-solving degree, and you can apply that to any field, any profession. I've known engineers that have later on chosen to go to law school or medical school, and having that engineering background is just so great. And I like mechanical engineering because it can be applied to pretty much anything, and it's very hands-on, and I just really love the idea of like being able to learn how to build something, but also like the physics behind it. And I'm choosing to go into the aerospace industry. That's something I'm really passionate about, and I think it's a really cool space for women to get into, because in the past, that's historically been a boys' club, and there's just so much room for innovation, and having more diversity and inclusion within that field is definitely going to promote some really cool ideas in the future. I think, Ekim, you're the last person.
Yeah, I think so. Hi, I'm Kim. I'm a sophomore studying mechanical engineering, and I'm from Troy, Michigan, which is like an hour away from Ann Arbor. And the reason I chose mechanical engineering is because I was shadowing a family friend of mine who was a mechanical engineer, and their like floor of their office was all mechanical engineers, but every person was doing something completely different than the person sitting next to them, and they all had the same major. So I thought it was really interesting because you kind of get like a little bit of everything, and you get to learn like a good basis for all engineering. So if you ever decide to go in something more specific, it's really easy to just transfer over. So that's why I chose mechanical. Yeah.
Nice. So then one question that we had for all of you really is, what with your degrees are you hoping to do after school? So I think Himaja, is that
Himaja.
Himaja. So you kind of said a little bit about what you hope to do with your degree. I mean, really talking about so then let's start with you. And then if each of you could tell us a little bit of what you hope to do with your degree after school, I think that will spark a lot of interest in our girls.
Yeah, so I can just like go, I guess, more into depth on what I want to do after I graduate. I was first drawn to robotics because I competed in robotics in high school. I wasn't part of FIRST, but I was part of this smaller group of girls who we build robots every year, and participated in this competition in Southeast Michigan called RoboFest, and it was really fun. That's like, I started out with just Lego Mindstorms, making them throw marbles at my brother, fun stuff. And and then from then, my parents kind of encouraged me to think about better uses of robots to help people rather than annoy them. And I, when I got to Michigan, I learned about clubs that were doing things like, there's this student org at the University of Michigan called Michigan Neuroprosthetics, and they actually build like robotic prosthetics for young children. And when I learned about people who are doing things like that, that's when I knew that that's what I wanted to do, because a lot of people also in my family have disabilities, either mental or physical, and I see the potential for robotics to help them. I don't think that a lot is being done to make robotics accessible to people. It's a lot, like, it's all in these like kind of closed off research labs, I feel like, and in small like companies that are doing these things. So I want to bring robotics to a wider audience of people that it can help. Yeah, and after I graduate, I've thought about actually maybe starting my own company. So if anyone has questions about startups or like entrepreneurship, you can talk to me too.
Thank you.
I can popcorn Katrina.
Yep. Oh, thank you. So interestingly enough, with an engineering background, I actually don't want to work in engineering. My plan after graduating this year is to go to medical school, actually. But I really wanted to come into medical school with a technical background, basically. Really, when you major in engineering, you can't go wrong. Like it's been said, it's a problem-solving degree, and you can really apply that to any career out there. But mostly, I really wanted to understand the interface between the healthcare system and then how we use the medical devices that we use to treat patients. So with my background, like I'll be able to understand really like how a ventilator works to help the people currently, suffering from COVID-19. Not just use the device. I'd be able to build one if need be, which is what one of my my lab head, I guess my PI, is currently doing right now. So he also came from a biomedical engineering background, and he's working on a device that will be able to split a ventilator so that it can be used on 2 patients instead of 1. So that way they'll be able to treat more patients. So different devices like that, just having that engineering background really in any career will be great. But yeah, again, I just really wanted the people aspect to my future. So medicine.
Love it.
We'll go to Caitlin.
So my field is pretty niche, I'd say, definitely compared to what the rest of you guys have been talking about. And I first got interested when I was doing like a random career search in high school. I like found it and I thought it was so cool, right? I was like, I'm totally gonna be a nuclear engineer, but I didn't really know anything about it. And I knew that I like math and science, so like engineering was kind of where I was gravitating anyways. And then I did a program at Michigan State University. It was the Physics of Atomic Nuclei program, where I learned about like nuclear physics principles, so like how nuclei work and what happens when they hit each other and stuff like that. And I thought it was just so cool. And so I was like, oh, I'll just roll with this for now. And I showed up at Michigan and I joined a research lab where I actually started doing nuclear reactor core modeling. And so essentially in a nuclear reactor where you split atoms to produce power, you've got like the central area where your fuel is. So where those big atoms are that you're going to break apart. And there's different ways that you can set that up to make it like more or less effective. You can change the materials that you're using. You can change the vessel size, you can change the types of fuel and the types of things that you're going to use to cool it. And I think that's awesome. And so I want to keep doing that. And so like the big push right now in nuclear engineering is how can we make things what's called like passively safe. So if I put a tiny reactor up in Alaska and nobody, like it's just going to power a small community and nobody's going to touch that for 50 years, like we need to be continuously operating, no issues, no safety problems, no nothing. And so how can we make that happen? And then how can we customize nuclear power so it's like more available for communities of all types and sizes? So rural, urban, suburban, huge, small. And I'm just so fascinated by that. And it was really just kind of taking a chance based on the one-week program that I did in high school. And I was like, this is cool. And like everyone said, right, it's a problem-solving major. So maybe I won't end up doing nuclear engineering, but I'm here doing it right now and it's awesome. So I'm just gonna kind of roll with it and see where it takes me.
I love it, thank you.
And let's popcorn on over to Mary.
Because I was thinking with computer science, because it's behind the computer, I definitely want to like be able to interact with other people. And one of my big goals with computer science is to work with like nonprofits such as like Engineers Without Borders and travel to other countries and help set up computer science because it's such a powerful tool. And like being able to have other girls who don't have access to education be able to set up those different systems where everybody's able to learn computer science is definitely one of my goals after college. And I guess we could popcorn over to Kim.
Okay. One of my when I first came to Michigan, I started working in a research lab with a professor in industrial engineering who focuses on automotive human factors, which is how to basically apply a human element to mechanical design. So if you're making a car seat, make sure that's comfortable and safe. So 2 aspects in making sure that you keep in mind the people. So my plan after graduating with a mechanical degree is to go into grad school and get either a master's or PhD in human factors so that I can really have the 2 worlds of mechanical engineering and human factors, which is a really powerful combination, and work in hopefully the automotive or aerospace industry to make sure that things are staying safe and comfortable for people. So yeah, that's one of my plans and goals after graduation. And I guess we can popcorn over to Jillian.
Yeah, so I love all the enthusiasm I'm hearing from everyone. I'm inspired already. I'd say right now, I know that there's a lot of uncertainty. I think from what I've heard from a lot of people who have gone through the phases of their career, it's dynamic. It changes. You're in one spot and then you end up at a totally different application. So what I'm interested in might not necessarily be what I'm interested in a few years, but I'm currently really excited about the applications of um, autonomous robotics and autonomous vehicles. So in particular with the mobility industry. So I've been doing some work. Michigan has a testing facility called M-City, where there's a lot of companies come in and test autonomous vehicles, autonomous systems, and as well as systems where it's like assisted driver systems, so lane assist, whatnot, to see how can we make driving safer, how can we improve traffic conditions. Something that's a big part of everyone's lives is the way they get around, and I think that's a really exciting problem. How can we decrease the congestion on the road? How can we make this such a much safer mode of transportation? And deaths around traffic accidents it's one of the leading causes of deaths in the United States. So I think it's a really important problem to solve, is how do we transform our transportation in such a way that we can protect people, as well as make it maybe a little more enjoyable. How can we make people's commute not terrible? Can you maybe I think full autonomy is perhaps not possible. Or at least we're very, very far away from that. But what can we do to transform your your transportation experience in such a way that it's not not this like terrible commute. So so there's lots of exciting things I think in that application, and so I'm looking forward to looking at the problems perhaps with like computer vision, and how do we figure out, we can, as humans, we use our eyes, and they're very, very powerful tools. We are able to recognize objects, we're able to see and identify things without a thought. And how do we train systems and computers to be able to do that as well? And that's a huge problem in something like having an autonomous vehicle move around. So I would right now kind of dream job potentially would be to work somewhere in like an autonomous vehicles company or something like that.
Thanks, Julie. I think it's Reagan now.
So I am currently kind of trying to decide between two paths of whether I want to go into industry or go into academia. So if I go into industry, the job that I'd really like to have would be what's called a systems engineer. So I'm particularly interested in going into aerospace. What a systems engineer would do there is, so you have like your engineers that are designing a plane, but then the airline is going to say, we want a plane that's fast and can hold a lot of people and is fuel efficient. So what the systems engineer does is says, okay, how fast is fast? How many people is a lot of people? How fuel efficient is it going to be? And then going to the engineers and saying, this is what the requirements are. Can you design for this? And then throughout the design process, going to the different groups and saying, okay, you're designing the landing gear. How does that affect the aerodynamics and what that group is doing? And kind of being like both the project manager and engineer, and assisting with the design. So having mechanical background is really good for that, because you kind of have to have an overall understanding of the whole plane and how it works, and then be able to interface with different groups. So if I go that route, I'll be pursuing a master's degree in systems engineering. I'm also interested in potentially going into academia, because this past semester I've been teaching one of the undergrad mechanical engineering classes called Design and Manufacturing. And it's just something I found very fulfilling, is teaching about engineering, and something that I found a lot of joy in. So I also be thinking of going that route and becoming a professor or a lecturer, and continuing to teach about engineering, about physics, and how it can have a positive impact on the world.
I love that. There's so many different options with engineering. Another question that we had then was more about the Society of Women Engineers. Can you tell us a little bit more about the society and why you joined, and what the benefit has been for you at University of Michigan?
Jilly, you're on a new e-board.
Yeah, yeah, I can speak. So I joined SWE second semester freshman year. Actually, the first time I heard about SWE was I got this little postcard in the mail, and it said, "Welcome to Michigan. Love Society of Women Engineers." And I think almost everyone I know in SWE right now also got the same postcard and like still owns it. I know I still have mine somewhere around here. So that was my first taste of a community that I ended up just falling in love with. So I really got involved after my freshman year. So I was in the group that second semester, but then didn't get super involved until I ended up on a whim, like applying for one of our international trips to Africa. And I had never been outside of the country before, and I was like, what am I doing? But we did this really neat camp in Liberia. It's on the west coast of Africa. And so we worked with our peers, undergrads, who were also studying similar fields in Liberia, and just kind of created this camaraderie around like the fields we were entering, talked about what it's like to be a woman engineer. Just really good, constructive, fun time. We built some fun like crafts things that were very focused on iterative design and engineering design process. It was just a really good collaboration. And that was like my first taste of this is not just like me, or this isn't just my university. This is a global cause. And that kind of kickstarted my passion for SWE. Later got involved in some more committees my sophomore year and junior year. I went on our other international trip to India last summer. So we work with high school students and kind of a similar like exposure to engineering. Let's talk about the fields kind of like we are doing now. Like what could you do in this field and how can you get excited about it? And that was an amazing trip. I was going to go again this year, but unfortunately got canceled. But my passion a lot is not only in the community itself, which I haven't touched on too much. There's just great people in SWE, and you feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself, and you really find the community and the camaraderie. But also there's this international community as well, and I love that Michigan has these international trips to connect you abroad. And this next year, I'll be serving on our e-board, so we're doing lots of initiatives coming up. Of course, things are uncertain with COVID and whatnot, but it's such a resilient group that we're gonna work through it together as we have in the past.
I think this right now is a testament to that, because here you guys all are, 3 o'clock on a Friday from different locations, taking your time out to be able to talk to our Girl Scouts. So we really appreciate that too. Can you tell us, I know Katrina, I will ask you directly, a little bit more about the patch program that you guys are offering for our Girl Scouts?
Yeah. So I think the link for it is going to be going out in the chat.
Yes.
Yeah. But basically, so I wanted to present a program to the Girl Scouts where they could continue learning engineering principles at home. Since schools are canceled, most kids are stuck at home with nothing to do, but that doesn't mean that you can't stop learning. So basically, what it is for each Girl Scout level, there's a couple of different like activities or assignments that you get to do. So like Daisy's, they get to do 2 at-home experiments and then fill out this little worksheet saying like how you set your experiment up, what did you observe, a couple of things that you learned, and then you'll send that back to me as like proof, basically, that you did it. Plus it's just fun for me then to like see what you guys are up to. Send pictures if you want. But then I will send you a little certificate saying you're going to be a future engineer. You don't have to be, but you could be. And then also a little SWE patch. It's like purple and white. But yeah, just to like show that you can still be doing stuff basically while you're at home. So yeah, and then the activities will differ based on your grade level. So Daisies are 2 activities. I think Brownies and Juniors are 3 activities. And then for the older Scouts, you can either do a couple more of activities or help younger scouts or younger siblings do these activities as well. So it can be a teaching moment for them.
Are they activities that the girls choose, or something that we can come up with?
Completely something that they can choose. There are some options that I gave, just some links that I found online of just simple experiments that you can do at home, you know, build a volcano, put an egg in a jar. But please, like, if you guys have ideas, like, do them. That's what this time is for, just explore.
Do you mind if each one of you shares an idea of an experiment that you think, and be specific about if you think it could be done by a 6-year-old or a 16-year-old? What do we think would be a fun experiment, or one experiment that you've done, one activity engineering-wise that you came up with? Let's start with, and let's go with Jilly, because you're like right next to my face when I'm looking at the screen.
Yeah, actually, I've there's one that just one that we've done multiple times abroad. It's a bottle rocket activity. I don't know if it's a fairly common one where you take vinegar and baking soda, I believe, and you like it's a bit of aerospace intro, or just at least talking about the field, where you like take a bottle, like just any plastic bottle, and then you can like design it and like try to make it as aerodynamic as possible. And then I think you need a cork as well. And so you put in like the vinegar and then the baking soda. So I can't remember if it's baking soda or some other material, but you put it in like
soda.
Is it baking soda? Okay. I always forget which one it is. And then there's some particular instructions you should probably follow, but somehow, you like put it in and then let it go and you walk away and then it shoots off. That's always super fun. So probably has to be done outdoors, but just like in the backyard or something. And that's super easy to set up, especially when the hands-on part is like the designing of the little rocket. And then like a parent or something can, or like a guardian can put together the chemical side of it. But that's also not too complicated, just as long as you like measure things correctly. So yeah, it's pretty much like all age ranges.
Thank you. We'll do the popcorn thing again. I think that works out well.
Yeah. So let's see, Mary, do you have any ideas?
I remember an event that we did, I think for SWE Day, was creating binary bracelets. And what you could do is just search up like a binary color chart or something like that. And if you have like two different color beads, you can create a bracelet like spelling out your name or your last name. And like, I feel like it could be for any age group. And then I guess Katrina.
Huh. One thing that we did at one of our events that was super fun was, it was, I guess, less of an experiment, but more of just a building activity, was I gave the scouts just a ton of popsicle sticks and hot glue. And I had them like a birdhouse. And first they designed it on paper, and like in their birdhouse, they had like little beds for the birds and little like perches where they could sit outside and whatnot. And then I had them try to build it with the popsicle sticks, and they just had so much fun and were so creative with it. It was a joy to watch. And it doesn't have to be popsicle sticks, as I know people probably just don't have hundreds of popsicle sticks lying around their house. But it can literally just be sticks. Like, build something with some sticks and some glue, or sticks and gum, if you have gum. Like anything that's adhesive. Be like some engineers and work with what you got. So, let's see, maybe Himadra.
Yeah, so this is similar to Katrina's. It's sort of a building activity, but this is something that I did in actually middle school, so I think it'd be friendly for all ages. Is building spaghetti bridges. So basically you take uncooked spaghetti and you design like a truss, which is like the side of a bridge. You design the truss and then the bottom and then the top. And all you need is like uncooked spaghetti and some glue, and then you can make them and like basically create a bridge that's like open at the top, and then see like how many coins or like any other kind of weight it can hold. And I think actually maybe not thinking about it, that might be more valuable for an older scout, but but it was really fun, and it teaches you a lot about like the design and build process, which I think is really interesting. And I will popcorn Caitlin.
So an activity that we actually, at an event that I hosted this semester, we had the parents do, so suitable for a wide age range, was doing a marble roller coaster. So essentially we have like really common household supplies. So construction paper, paper towel tubes, if you have popsicle sticks, like lots and lots and lots of tape, really anything. And just design a roller coaster. And like Katrina and Himija were talking about, you get really into the design process. And I mean, they were so into it. And it's really nice because it's scalable for all ages. So if you got younger scouts, then I mean, you can make it really small, but it's also a really great team activity. And we saw them get so creative. I mean, we had ones that were attached to the ceiling and they went all the way across the room down to the floor. These things were awesome. And the best part is they're so versatile, and the more creative you can be with materials like Katrina was talking about, the cooler and awesomer they can be. And those were so much fun. And so I'm gonna popcorn over to Reagan.
So this is something that I made in high school, but I think it probably could be extended to middle school too. So you can make like a homemade motor. So you need a size C, like the fat round batteries, or I think it's called a D, that's like the little square ones. And then 2 magnets and some kind of wire. If you don't have like electrical wire just laying around your house, like some people do, you can use a coat hanger or even paper clips. So essentially what you do is whatever wire you have, kind of like coil it up into a circle, and then leave like 2 longer bits at the ends. You can kind of hold it like this, and then prop it on paper clips, or you can even make something out of cardboard and attach the 2 ends to the battery, and then hold magnets parallel to it, and the battery will cause the wire to get magnetized, and you hold the magnets next to it, it'll spin. So there's a lot of different variations of this and a lot of different materials you could use. If you look up like homemade motor on YouTube, sure you could find something, but it's just like kind of fun to watch. Like depending what materials you use, it might go really fast. I did one at one point where I let it run for so long that the battery died. So it's kind of a fun thing to do, entertaining to watch, especially when you're stuck at home during these times.
For sure.
I'm sorry. Akim, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. The only thing that I think that Katrina kind of touched on it, if it's the same idea, I think, is something that I did in middle school was take an egg and leave it in vinegar and water and oil for like 3 days and just see what happens to it. It's kind of fun. You get to learn about like different chemical processes and how they interact with the egg shell and like membrane and yolk and other things inside the egg. And I'm sure there's like a bunch of different websites and YouTube videos that explain like why different liquids interact with the egg the way it does. So it's just like a fun way to learn about like a little bit of chemistry and just to see how things change. So yeah.
Nice. Thank you very much. I really appreciate these ideas, and I appreciate all of your sharing for our Girl Scouts too. Are there any last minute thoughts or any last minute advice you'd like to give to our Girl Scouts? Let's start with Reagan then.
I would say if you're probably like 10th grade and beyond and you still are just not sure what you want to do, like you really just can't go wrong with engineering. I mean, look at like Katrina's going to medical school, Jilly's going into automotive, like there's just such a wide variety of things that you can do. And even if you're not sure if you want to be an engineer, like having that problem solving background can really get you anywhere.
I could jump in with a little piece of advice. I would say just no matter where you're at, remain really curious. If there's something that you hear about, some sort of technical term or some problem that you're like, I wonder how that problem works. What are the ins and outs? What's causing it? What might solve it? Just be super curious and ask a lot of questions. I think that's something as an engineer, like throughout your entire life, you're going to have to do is ask questions, be curious, if there's something you don't understand, ask about it, look it up. We're kind of living in an unprecedented time in that you've got knowledge practically at your fingertips if you have access to the internet. And then on top of that, if you have access to professors or people in these fields, almost all of them are more than willing to talk about what are the applications that they're excited about, or what are the ones that are really big right now. And the more that you reach out to them, the more you're be able to gain from their perspective to help you kind of guide your the direction that you want to head in, and the future that you want to build for yourself.
Yeah, kind of playing off of that, I'd say really don't be afraid to try new things. Definitely in this day and age, especially if you're an older scout, you really do feel the pressure of, you have to check these certain boxes if you want to go to college. You have to, take the AP classes, get the high grades and whatnot, and you really are kind of pigeonholed into this one path if you want to get anywhere. But definitely don't feel like you have to do that at all. There's so many different opportunities out there, and you never know what might spike your interest. It could be something completely unrelated, like casually taking a woodworking class. Like, does that have any effect on your academics? Absolutely not. But I mean, it could be a stress reliever later on in life, or just a fun hobby that you pick up. So there's definitely a ton that you can do. And also, don't be afraid to reach out to people. I know people who have been in high school who have reached out to college professors and have been able to get in during the summer to do some research in their lab. And that's just a way to gain some early information on whether or not, this might be a career for you. So definitely spend this time getting as much information as you can, just from all different avenues, so that you can make a decision later on. And you can always change that decision too. But yeah.
I just want to second what Katrina said, because I am in fact taking a woodworking class next semester.
I love that.
I want to kind of build on Katrina's point a little bit. So like with having so many opportunities, kind of the flip side of that is it can be a little bit overwhelming. Like, I mean, if you look at all the options, you feel kind of like what Katrina was saying, you feel pressured to do not just one of it to check your boxes, but you feel pressure to do all of it. And that can lead to a lot of anxiety and distress. Oh my God, am I doing the right thing? My little sister right now is just kind of getting started on her college search process, and she'll just talk about how overwhelmed she is. She has no idea what her passions are. And honestly, like, what I have to say to that is, like, pick something that you find interesting right now that's going to give you some solid skills. So it might be engineering, it might not be, but for me, I'm learning math, physics, problem solving, and I'm studying something that right now I think is so cool. And like I said, it might not, be the thing I do for the rest of my life, but don't put that pressure on yourself. You don't have to decide what you're going to be doing for 50 years right now, right? This isn't the end all be all. So it's easy to second guess and yourself and just become overwhelmed with all of this. But really, if you like what you're doing, then it's worthwhile and it's going to lead you to something that's awesome. It doesn't really matter if it's not what everyone else is doing right now. Just roll with it and be happy with yourself and have confidence that it'll work out.
I'm going to jump in here. I really like what Caitlin said about it being okay to not do what everyone else is doing. And I want to talk about that more, because I still struggle with comparing myself to the people around me, especially going to university. Everybody is incredibly intelligent, and sometimes you feel like you're not that and you don't match up to that. So I want to say to anyone who's listening that don't worry if your journey doesn't look like the person sitting next to you, it doesn't look like your best friends. It is completely okay to take a year off before going to college if you need to take a gap year. It is completely okay to have to be going to a 2-year university, to be going to a vocational university, to be going to community college. It is 100% okay if you end up taking a 5th year of college, or if you end up transferring to another school halfway through. All of those are just different paths, and neither of them is better or worse than the other. But the beauty of your path is that it's for you. and you know what's best for you. So I say trust your instincts and make decisions based on what your gut tells you, not what the world and other people are telling you. I can popcorn Mary.
My biggest advice would definitely be exploring those different opportunities, those summer programs that like your mom wants you to do, but you don't want to do. It was definitely Girls Who Code that got me into coding, even though I detested the program and my mom made me go to like spend my summer there. I really fell in love with coding there. So definitely like exploring everything that you can to the best of your ability, and also not comparing to yourself, because I did learn coding a lot later than the rest of my peers, and I constantly compare myself, and that's something I still need to work on, but understanding that your journey is different than others is something that's really powerful. And I guess I can popcorn to a Kim.
Okay. I guess kind of like going off everyone's point about not having everything figured out, not knowing exactly, like, I mean, that's the point of education as a whole. So like, especially going into mechanical engineering, like I don't know everything there is to know about mechanical engineering. That's why I'm studying it. So I guess some piece of advice would be like, pick something that you're constantly willing to learn about and constantly like ready to like read about and to do the problems and to talk about it, like something that you don't think you get bored of. And I think that's I don't know, that's something that I've been doing, and I think it would apply to everything else. Yeah.
I do. I really like that. Thank you so much, you guys. I will tell you, there have been a lot of questions that have been coming into our Facebook page itself. So I don't know if any of you have time to check out Girl Scouts Heart of Michigan, but there is a post specific to our Zoom meeting right now. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to stay live. I'm not sure why it didn't last, but we are recording all of this, so we are going to post this as well. So to close, just know that the Facebook is up. You guys actually did answer a lot of the questions that the girls are asking. It looks like they're on here. It says there's been 180 views so far. And like I told you, there are some people here from Pennsylvania. They're saying hello from Pennsylvania. And they had questions exactly what you guys were saying, what the majority of you were talking about. Interests in high school, interested in engineering, what should I do next? What clubs or programs should I join? But I think the overall message that you had is to follow your gut and to really look for those opportunities. And if mom signs you up for something that sounds awful, maybe just check it out. So Katrina, do you mind telling us a little bit more about how we can get the patch from the Society of Women Engineers, and what else our girls could do to look to becoming engineers themselves?
Yep. So there's a form, I believe, or like some sort of PDF for the patch program that has all the requirements for each grade level. So we'll be taking submissions from here until June 15th, because I believe that's about when elementary schools get out. And then just due to the COVID situation, we won't be mailing patches out until at least May 1st, just to limit transmission. But yeah, that should be an ongoing thing. Once you filled it out, email me. My email will also be on that form. It'll be swe.girlscout@umich.edu. And then also, just besides the patch program, SWE in general does a ton of outreach events. You have a ton of outreach people here, actually. It's like I'm specific just for Girl Scouts, but Caitlin here does work with elementary students. And then Mary will actually be taking my position next year as the Girl Scout outreach officer. But yeah, we do outreach events with K through 12. So come to campus, learn a little bit more about engineering, see the campus, see what we do in our labs. Or, I mean, if you can't, just like reach out with questions. We're always happy to schedule meetings with you, virtually, in person, whatever. We're a resource for you. So definitely reach out.
Great. Thank you all for coming today. And stay healthy out there.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, you too.